and welcome to Wednesday Wisdom. Thank you very much for joining me today. So this week is about sitting on the floor, how to sit well and why to bother. So it follows on from last week where I talked to you about the importance of squatting. Squatting being very important for us in terms of opening up the pelvis and helping our long-term efficiency of the pelvic organs. But also it's about mobilising the muscles of the legs and the hips to improve our posture and maintain a more balanced and healthy body overall. So I suggested that you spend lots of time sitting on the floor as opposed to sitting on sofas and chairs as a means to increasing your mobility through the hips, improving your leg muscle flexibility, improving your pelvic alignment, and that's going to have a knock-on positive effect on your posture, and it's going to have a knock-on positive effect on the efficiency of your internal organs, your pelvic organs. So I'm going to show you today about 10 positions which you can practice on the floor. My suggestion is that you do this while you're watching a film or watching a TV program or chatting to a friend on the phone or perhaps reading a book or reading the paper. So you've got another activity that's going on at the same time. And my suggestion is that you hold each position for maybe 3 or 4 minutes. You're not timing it necessarily, but you're just going to keep moving from one position to the next. And that in itself is a massive bonus, because when, of course, you're sat on the sofa, slumped, not only are you in this kind of position through your back, which is bad for you, but you also tend to not move for ages and ages and ages. You just stay static. This is about hopefully keeping the body moving from one position to the next to the next. So the first position you're going to take up is a cross-legged position, just noting which leg is in front, holding that for 3 or 4 minutes. Of course, you do want to be sitting tall. So if you're finding it difficult to sit up tall because your body's back here, then you can use a yoga block or a book or even several books. So stacking everything up so that you can sit really upright through your spine. So that's the first one, sitting cross-legged. And then the second one is if you unfold that front leg so that one leg is straight and one leg is still sat cross-legged. That's your second one. Again, 3 or 4 minutes there. You might be moving around whilst you're doing whatever it is that you're doing. It's just about giving the body different positions to adopt so that different muscles can lengthen. The next one from there is to bend that straight leg and bring it in around to the side. So both feet are going to the same side of the body. And this one is sometimes uncomfortable for people. So with any of these positions, if there's knee pain, you must stop. Yeah, if it feels like there's pain in the joints, then you may need to adjust with cushions. You may need to have a little bit of an experimentation with regard to how to adjust those positions to be comfortable, but don't keep sitting there if you're in pain in your joints, particularly I'm concerned about your knees. So one option in this position is you might want to use your block again underneath the buttock that's more heavily dropped against the floor, and that suddenly frees up the hips, makes it a lot more comfortable. So that's your third position. From there you can then lengthen the other leg out to the side. So you've got one leg turned in and one leg lengthened out. Looks a bit weird, I know, but will give you some fantastic stretches and help to release those hips really well. 3 or 4 minutes again, doing whatever it is that you're doing, and then you can unfold that leg and have both legs wide. In this position, as before, if you're rounded and slouched, sit on something to get yourself really upright. You might even want to lean forwards and take a generous stretch to those inner thighs. And then you're coming back to the beginning again, but with the other leg crossed in front. First position here, 3 or 4 minutes. Second position here, 3 or 4 minutes. Then that leg folds around to the side and you're in your asymmetrical one with the legs off to one side. 3 or 4 minutes there. And then that front leg stretches away. 3 or 4 minutes there. This is the one that I find most difficult. For me, that's a little bit uncomfortable in one hip, so I'm just going to go ahead and sit on the block. Instantly, it alleviates the discomfort through the hip. So be mindful of any pain in the hips or the knees that wants to be avoided at all costs, and just experiment with your cushions or your books to prop yourself and to get more comfortable. From there, lengthening that leg out wide, and then again you can drop the weight forwards, have a little stretch out, 3 or 4 minutes. And then moving on, you can go legs together. So that's to get the length into the back of the legs. So you may well need to sit on several blocks or books for that to be more comfortable. You can lean forwards, you can again do whatever it is that you're doing. And then I'll show you just a couple more. This one is potentially a little bit problematic for knees, but we're turning both legs in and sitting down into the space between the feet. must not do this if there is pain in the knees. So to alleviate that pain, to make it feel comfortable, we can pop a block or some books in underneath the pelvis again, and if it's still not comfortable, more blocks, more books, more cushions until it is comfortable. If there's pain still then in your knees, then don't do it. And just a quick note on this one, you don't want your feet turning out like this. So if that's a position that you've been habitually adopting since you were a child, tuck those feet in, keep the feet close to the bottom and keep the knees close to each other. So that's your sort of turned in position through the legs. And then the next one I'll show you sideways on is just to take up a squat position like this, like the Japanese might use in sitting for dinner, for example. So sat on your feet for 3 or 4 minutes. And then from there you can also just tuck your toes under and sit in this kind of position for 3 or 4 minutes. Your toes might not like it, but it is good for them. So just stay for a short period of time if you prefer. And from there we can just push ourselves back into our squat, and we're back where we found ourselves last week. So if you can squat, then that in itself might be a position that you're using whilst you read the paper or chat to a friend. Alright, so I hope that was helpful. It's given you just a few ideas of some different positions that you can adopt on the floor. Cross-legged, one leg or the other leg, legs off to one side, or the other leg straight, both legs out wide, both legs together, both legs turned in. I think that's 10 in total. You'll squat like this, you'll squat like this, and then you'll squat like this. So the more you do it, the better you'll get at it. Get comfortable with the floor, support yourself well with blocks, books and cushions, but the more practice you get at being on the ground, the more comfortable it will start to feel, and the better your hips will move. It will serve you so well as you get older. Thank you so much for listening today. I very much hope to see you next Wednesday at 1 o'clock. Have a lovely afternoon.